Pipeline by the Ventures. Hey, folks, you're listening to the Uncle Tim Show on Vintage Radio 1077 WQUD right here out of Erie, Illinois. And I've got Michael Demps, otherwise known as Daytona Mike, just called in. Got a signal just in the nick of time. And we're going to see where Mike is on his journey. He is through hiking on the Appalachia Trail, 2,200 miles. Mike, are you there?
I'm here, Uncle Tim. How's it going?
It's going good. I'm recording this tonight. I neglected to record it last week, and I know some of your friends are working and they want to listen to it later. They want to make sure you're still alive. Are you alive and well?
I am alive and very well. Thanks for asking.
Where are you at? How far along on the trail?
So last week, hit the 600-mile mark, and this week hit the 700-mile mark, actually this morning, this afternoon, and I'm at mile 704.
Way to go. You are just about to the 1/3 mark.
Yeah, and I'm trying to hit, 100 miles a week now.
Very nice. I hope we can keep getting these calls, once a week or whenever it works out best for you, because people like knowing what you're doing. And I'm just lucky that I found out about you through your mutual Army buddy, Andy Thorpe. He might be listening. I told Andy and Terry to be listening tonight, but I found out about you, and it's, I always wanted to do what you're doing right now. I've got to do a lot of fun things, but you are doing something that was always on my bucket list, and it's beyond my capabilities right now because I know my own limitations. So it's great to be following you. And since I follow you, I know that you've had a couple of adventures lately. So let's talk about those before I go into a little bit more about the trail.
All right. Yeah, sounds good. So my first big adventure happened the day before yesterday. I was actually needing to refill up on some water. And so there was a poorly marked and not well-established side trail to go down that led to a little stream that was maybe 0.3 of a mile off the trail. And I got down there just fine. And when I went to go back to the trail, the main Appalachian Trail, the blue blazes, I could not see them at all. And I couldn't even find the path. And I'm like, what is going on here? And so at first I didn't think, really anything of it. And I'm just, okay, I'm, going in this general direction. I should be hitting the trail. And then I realized, nothing looked familiar. And I'm like, okay, so, if you don't know where you are, the best thing to do is to just kind of stop. But we're all kind of human, and so sometimes we think we know a little bit better. So I kept walking and kept walking and kept walking. I pull out my Far Out app. The Far Out app kind of helps you determine what mile you're on. But if you're not exactly on the trail, it's really not all that helpful. And so I realized, based on the Far Out app, I was getting further and further from the trail. But I did know that I was south of the trail, and I knew I needed to head north. So I said to myself, okay, where's the sun? I can find the sun, because the sun rises in the east, sets in the west. And it was, it was 4 p.m. So I said, okay, so there's, but I couldn't find the sun. I just couldn't see it. But, I did have a shadow, and so if you have a shadow, the sun can see you. So what I did is I took a stick, I kind of posted it in the ground, I put a rock at the tip of the shadow, and then I waited about 20 minutes, put another rock at the tip of that shadow. That was my approximate east-west line, and then I was able to find north-south based on that. And I just headed straight north, and it took a little bit, but I got back to the trail, and I was actually a half a mile off of my original starting point.
That is scary, but I'm impressed that you knew to do what you did. Is that Army training?
Yeah, that was all Army training right there, because instead of panicking, I said, okay, don't panic. All right, you have navigational skills. So what do you do from here? And then I thought of the shadow tip method, and it's really simple, but And the thing is, I looked on the Far Out app to read comments to see if, it had happened to anyone else. And it actually had. There were, I was reading the comments, and somebody actually had to get rescued from that point, because they were unable to find their way back to the trail. And then another person was down there screaming for help, and somebody went and got them. But I was not at that point where I was going to start screaming for help. If I start screaming for help, I wasn't at that point yet.
If you start screaming for help, it's the end of the world.
Pretty much.
Daytona Mike. Well, you are right. The first thing you want to do is you don't want to sit there calmly. You want to get back to it. It's kind of like when you get pulled out in the ocean in an undertow. You got to go with it. You got to settle down. But the human in all of us wants to get back to where you were. Now, you mentioned blue blazes. I thought they were all white blazes.
Yeah. So the blazes on the trail itself are white, but there's side trails that lead to either shelters or privies or water points, and those are all going to be blue. So we refer to them as blue blazes. Well,
you weren't the first one that got lost, like you say, and as many times as I've been in the Grand Canyon, I just got to mention that I was out there in the dark at like 3 a.m. once at a place called Skeleton Point, and I've been through this place so many times, but things look different in the dark, and I got turned around, and there were other trails leaving, and it's hard not to panic. I just had to say, listen, you know what you're doing. Would you just settle down and find the right trail? But it is easy to, when in danger, when in doubt, run in circles, scream and shout, right?
Right.
All right. Well, is that your first? Is that your first off trail?
Yeah, that was my first. Not really scared. I was a little flustered, but it was, at the end of the day, no harm, no foul. It was pretty non-incidental, but it made me realize that, even something as simple as going to fetch some water from a blue blaze, I mean, you just have to pay attention and be careful and be familiar with your surroundings, at all times. I got a little bit, maybe I was a little too relaxed, because I don't think something like that would have happened my first week, because I wouldn't have been relaxed at all.
Right.
So sometimes when you get a little too comfortable, that's when you start making mistakes and, but hey, adapt and overcome.
Adapt and overcome. For those that weren't listening last week, Daytona Mike, as is his trail name, is through hiking 2,200 miles between Springer Mountain in Georgia and Mount Katahdin in Maine, going through 14 states. More than 3 million people hike segments of this trail, but only about 1,000 people try to do a through hike, and only about a quarter of them make it all the way. My money is on Daytona Mike. By the way, who are you traveling with these days? Give me some trail names.
Okay, so right now, I'm actually traveling with a guy, his trail name is Otis, and then Tortilla.
What was that again?
Yeah. Otis and Tortilla.
Tortilla, okay.
Yeah. You want to hear how they got their trail names?
I'm always interested in that.
Well, let's see if I can find them. They're at this hostel with me. Hey, Otis. Hey, how'd you get your trail name? How'd you get your trail name?
It's my cat, sadly.
Oh, so he said it's his cat's name.
All right.
And then he said sadly. And Tortilla, how'd you get yours? He ran out of food, and tortillas was all he had left.
Well, it doesn't take much for a name to stick. Now, 14 states, Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. What state are you in right now?
So right now I'm in Virginia at mile 704, and Virginia is the longest state on the Appalachian Trail. It's, the mileage is more than the first 3 states combined. And, if you watch documentaries on YouTube and stuff, some people say that you get the Virginia blues in a little bit, because it's like, you're traveling hundreds of miles and, you're not changing states. But haven't gotten the Virginia blues. I almost got them yesterday with that snake incident, though. You want to hear about that?
I do want to hear that, but I want to correct myself. I did say that estimates are 1,000 people try to through hike it every year. I misspoke. About 3,000 people attempt every year, of which about a quarter succeed. Yes, let's hear about a snake.
Okay, so yesterday I'm traveling and I'm on a ridge line and it's super rocky, and I'm going at a pretty good pace, and all of a sudden I see this huge rattler, and it's rattling and it's like looking at me, and I'm like, oh man, you got to be kidding me right now. So I said, all right, well, let's just see if it crosses the trail and it can be on its merry way, and then I can be on my merry way. Well, finally it started to, slither away, and so I started walking forward, but it was right on the side, and it was still rattling, and it was, it was looking at me, and I was looking at it, and I was thinking, and I was like, the snake is probably telling me, don't come any further, So I looked at the snake as if to say, are you telling me I'm going to have to climb down this cliff with my pack on and then bushwhack and then climb back up? And it looked at me as if to say, yeah, that's your best bet, bud.
If they're rattling, they're mad.
Yeah. And, I've ran across rattlesnakes before, several times, in fact, but this one was, it just seemed a little more angry than the rest of them. And so, that's what I did. I ended up climbing down that cliff, very carefully, because I did have my pack on, and my pack at this point is like, I don't know, maybe about 32, 33 pounds.
Okay.
So it makes a huge difference. Plus, I've got my trekking poles. So I basically just dropped my trekking poles down there. I climbed down, and then, now I'm bushwhacking, probably a good 500 meters, because I had to find a spot where I'd be able to climb back up. If I didn't have my pack on, I probably could have climbed it at any point, but with my pack, I had to make real sure that I was going to be able to climb back up.
Right. Now,
and, yeah.
That's a nice little incident. Now, I've run into a pink rattlesnake in the Grand Canyon. It was very docile, not rattling, right on the trail. I was more concerned with getting photos. Did you get a photograph?
Oh, everybody keeps asking me. No, I didn't photograph it. I was just like, and sometimes you really have to conserve battery. I mean, right. I know it sounds like an excuse, but no, I didn't even think to photograph it. I should have. And, if it happens again, hopefully it doesn't happen again. But if it does, I'll go ahead and get a picture this time.
That might have pushed it over the edge. And since it was mad, I don't blame you one bit. Just get beyond, get around this snake. Yeah. So,
I wanted it to be a memory.
Right. I was reading about the snakes. Timber rattlesnakes, copperheads are common along the trail. Let's see here. Here's some of the mammals, according to the article that I read, that you might see. Deer, elk, but those might be farther along the trail. Have you seen any deer, elk, or moose? I think moose might be up.
Haven't seen any moose, I don't believe, but have certainly seen some deer, several in fact. And there's actually a fellow hiker. Her name is, what is her name? Her name is High Five. That's her trail name. And so I was hiking with her for a bit, and I remember one morning I came across her. I said, hey, how's your day going? And she's like, I should never have gotten up. I'm like, oh, geez, what happened? She goes, well, as soon as I get on the trail, I hadn't been hiking for 5 minutes, and all of a sudden this huge deer comes right in front of me crossing the trail. It was like inches from my face. I could feel the wind. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm glad it didn't hit you. And she's like, yeah, and then some bird came and hit me in the face, and now I'm bleeding. And she's like, that happened like 10 seconds later. She's like, I just need to go back to bed. And I fell twice. And I'm like, oh, that was quite a day you had.
I gotta believe falls are pretty common. What do you think?
Yeah, I fell twice. I think it was yesterday. In fact, I fell twice yesterday. Yeah, they happen. You do get pretty bruised up out here. I've got have you seen the little kids like sometimes they're just all kind of like beat up, and you can tell they've been, that's kind of what my legs look like. Mine and others as well. Yeah, for sure.
How's the rain situation? Because I know it gets really slippery, the trail, with rain. Have you had much?
Yeah, so at first we did, but now it's just kind of been it's been pretty dry, and I welcome the rain. You know,
I thought
it
you were
cools me
kidding.
off. What's that?
I saw that video. I thought you were kidding about the rain. You actually liked it.
Oh no, I was completely serious. I think a lot of other people thought I was kidding too. No, I was absolutely serious. I wanted it to rain. You know, so when it rains, sometimes I just stop and just feel the rain. You know, it feels cool, and yeah, I love it. You know, only time I really don't care for it is if it's like super cold out. Like when we were in the Smokies. Yeah, it was pretty chilly out, and rain on top of that can make for some pretty rough days. But you know, sometimes you just kind of have to embrace it and move forward, and that's what we did in the Smokies for sure.
I read in this article that some through hikers get to one end and turn around and go back, known as a yo-yo. Are you going to yo-yo?
Yeah, some people refer to it as a yo-yo. I refer to it as crazy.
Yeah,
no.
there you go.
No, I'm kidding. Hey, if I had the time, you know, I don't know that I'll yo-yo, but maybe I'll do another through hike, and I'll go from you know, I'll do a southbound hike and start in Katahdin and head down to Springer.
Okay.
You know, because yeah, this is my first through hike, but I really am enjoying it. I'm loving it. You know, I'm at a hostel right now. I try, if I know I'm going to call in on the radio, it's nice for me to be at a hostel because I'm pretty much guaranteed to have cell service, and I like to do a hostel stay a week anyway, so it kind of lines up nice. But the two guys I'm here with right now, Otis and Tortilla, we were actually playing Jeopardy, and I tell you what, I'm not the smart one of the group.
If anything can make a person feel dumb, it's Jeopardy.
Oh, I mean, they should be playing with my stepfather. He's a really, really smart person, knows a lot of information, and they'll get these questions, and I'm like, how do you know that? You know,
people still make fun of me because the only category I ever swept was at my parents' house about 5 years ago, and the category was Barry Manilow. So that's my claim to fame, man.
There you go. Oh, I did sweep one category though. I think it was the body human. You know, because I'm pretty good with science and stuff like that. So
well,
I did well with that category.
That's what you're going into as well this fall.
Yeah. I'm gonna go into the nursing program. I actually did the surgical scrub program as well, and that was a 2-year program. Got an associate's degree with that, and I scrubbed for a year. I may scrub again part-time while I'm in nursing school. We'll see what happens. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to the nursing program for sure.
All right. Let's play a game. Here's all the critters that are supposed to be on this trail. You say yes or no as to whether you've seen them. Beaver.
All right. No, I wish.
Squirrel.
Yes.
River otter.
No.
Chipmunk.
Yes.
Porcupine.
No, but we were talking about those today. I think we'll probably see them when we get a little bit more further north.
Bobcat.
I'm not sure. I did see something running away, and it wasn't a deer and it wasn't a bear. I'm not sure what it was. And sometimes when that happens, I'm like, I don't want to know. So I really didn't get a clear look. So I'll leave that at a maybe.
Okay. Fox.
No.
Boar. A boar.
No, I've seen one in New Mexico, but not here. And I've seen them in Oklahoma as well.
Woodchuck.
But not here. Woodchuck. No.
Raccoon.
Yes. Raccoon, yes. No woodchuck, but woodpecker.
All right.
You hear them all the time.
All right. Because when we get into birds, turkeys, you seen any wild turkeys?
Yes. Seen some wild turkeys. I've seen a few of those, yeah.
How about a ruffed grouse? Look at the grouse. I don't even know if I'd know a ruffed grouse.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known it if I had seen it.
You seen any ravens, eagles, or wood ducks?
Actually, I've seen some ducks for sure.
Okay.
I can't remember seeing any eagles.
How about raptors? You seen an owl? I love owls.
Yeah, well, haven't seen them, but boy, have I heard them. You know.
That's cool. That's cool, isn't it?
Yes, and they were. I mean, there was one morning I was fetching my bear bag, and you know, you can make a little bit of noise when that happens, and I'm fetching it, and it just starts, you know, whoo, whoo, and then all of them just started. I was like, all right, I'm just getting my bear bag. It'll be like 2 seconds, but they were super loud. I should have recorded them, but they were, it was something else. Hearing some owls.
Is your bear bag like a line between two trees, or how do you do that?
So I do the PCT style. So what I do is I throw my rucksack, you know, connected to some rope. I throw it over a tree branch, and you want it to be at least 6 feet from the tree, and then you want your bag to be at least 6 feet from the branch, and at least 12 feet in the air.
Okay.
So there's some parameters. And then what you do is you take a stick and you tie a non-slip knot, and you make kind of like a pulley system, and the stick will actually lock the bear bag in place. So I use the PCT style hang. But there are people that will tie it off to a tree.
Okay.
But it just depends where you are. Some people suggest that the bears have figured out how to retrieve the bear bags with a simple tie. That's why they recommend the PCT, but it really just kind of depends where you are on the trail as far as what they're recommending. And some people actually use bear canisters. You don't have to hang those at all. So
Yeah, are they at least chained to a tree or something, or are they just could they take them?
I've seen some people just kind of leave them. I've also seen some people tie them off. Now, I don't think I've seen anyone chain. You know, chain's a heavier material.
Nobody wants to carry that.
Yeah, they're not going to carry it. But I've definitely seen them tie them off. I've actually even seen some people actually hang their bear canister inside of a bear bag.
Okay.
Which, that way, if you don't have quite a proper hang, you're still probably going to be in pretty good shape because it's in a bear canister.
Okay. Now, here are the three things I want to know that would really bother me, and I want to know if they're bothering you. Ticks, mosquitoes, and black flies.
Yes, and yes.
I would not. The gnats have been bad around here, but I know if you get a fly on you, you can't get rid of them.
No,
it's like
no,
they're honed into your scent, and yeah. So have they been bad?
They've actually. I've been going, and I actually read about. I've been reading up on flies actually, and apparently they can track things from about 4 miles away.
Wow, I tell you.
Yeah.
I don't need any mosquitoes either because, that'd be rough. Now, I know when you're not in a hostel, you must have a really lightweight tent.
Oh, yeah. I have the Nemo Hornet, and it weighs about 2.5 pounds.
Could two people fit?
Yeah, it's a two-person tent. Now, here's the thing. You know, a two-person tent is really, in my opinion, is, you know, one person plus gear.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I use. Some people use a one-person tent, and maybe they'll have their gear like under the rainfly. But I like to have, you know, myself and all my belongings inside my tent. You know, I just feel better that way.
Right. Is your 30-plus pound pack bugging you, or you down as thin as you're going to get on that pack?
Yeah, no, it's not bugging me at all. You know, the worst time is when you're leaving a town after a resupply, because you've got probably, you know, maybe you got 4 or 5 days between resupplies, and you're looking at about 2 pounds per day, you know, for food.
Right.
And actually, what's actually been kind of getting a little bit scarce out here is the water, you know, because of the lack of rain. That's another reason why we like rain, is because, you know, your water sources are easier to come across. But
do you carry tablets or a filter?
I carry a Sawyer filter.
Okay.
Most people, from what I've seen, have been doing the Sawyer filter. There was one guy I saw. His trail name is Chill Will, and he was using some sort of light to kill any microorganisms.
Oh, is that
and
right?
such. Yeah, I thought that was interesting, and it seemed a little quicker than the filter, but yeah, mostly I've seen the filter out here, the Sawyer filter.
Right. I'm not familiar with that particular filter. I've used just a flexible bag that you dip it in and then you suck it through this major filter. I finally got to use it when the water was turned off in the Grand Canyon last year, but it's the first time I'd ever used a filter. And once I started shopping, there's a million different kinds, including a straw.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, oh, yeah. There is a million different kinds, and but yeah, and so now I'm carrying three liters of water. You know, that way I can get about 10 miles. But yeah, as far as the filters go, I mean, there's outfitters along the trail, and from what I've seen, most of them are carrying the Sawyers, but I mean, if you go on like Amazon or something, you
Right.
find all different kinds. I mean, it's almost countless.
It's too many to choose from. Hey, I looked up something you might not know.
Yeah.
The oldest and youngest person to do the entire trail in 1 year. Do you know?
Oldest and youngest person. I'd be guessing. If I were guessing, I would say youngest. I would say maybe 9. Oldest, I might say 80, but I have no idea.
Here we go. October 13th, 2020, Juniper Netberg became the youngest person to hike the entire trail on her own with her family at age 4. I was impressed.
What?
Yes, I saw
4?
I saw the picture at the end in Maine with the whole family. I don't know how long it took them. Oh, wait, they finished it between March and October. The 4-year-old, along with a couple of siblings and her parents. I was impressed.
Wow, that's very impressive.
So
sure.
Juniper at age 4 and the oldest, MJ Nimble Will Nomad Eberhart, became the oldest person to hike it at 83.
Wow,
That's
so impressive.
In a single year. So there's hope for us all, right?
Hey, there sure is.
Do you think you're going to be able to check in with us sometime next week, I hope?
Yeah, I'd love to, hopefully, next Wednesday. But yeah, I absolutely we'll check in with you next week, and we'll see what news stories I have.
Well, travel safe, and you can always get a hold of me. So if it doesn't work out one day, we'll do it another day. And I'll leave you with this, because I just watched this for about the 5th time, a Netflix special called The River Runner. In the immortal words of Scott Lindgren, there's nothing better than a good sufferfest. So get out there and suffer, man.
Well, thanks very much, Uncle Tim. I very much appreciate you letting me call in, and I look forward to calling in again next week.
All right. Well, safe travels. Give me a heads up, and we'll see where you're at in another week.
Sounds good, and we'll do.
All right. Thanks again, and good night, man.
Good night. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.